MAC Admins India session today. So today I'm going to talk about a line of business app with respect to declarative device management in Intune. So before I start, I just wanted to do a quick room check. How many of you using Intune as a Mac management platform or MDM? Okay, great. So before we start, let me give a quick introduction about me. Myself, Vaishnav. I'm having 13 years of experience in IT, expertise in Intune, JMF, SCCM, and other automation solutions as well. So I regularly write blogs and articles and also speak in different kind of events. So you might see I'm already part of one of the other community, HTMD community. And this is my blog URL, the first one. And the second URL is for my LinkedIn profile. So if you are interested, you can scan this QR code and you can follow me over there as well. So let's get started. So I just wanted to give a quick overview of declarative device management. So I think most of the session, all the speakers are talking about DDM, right? So declarative device management is Apple's modern device management approach or model. So we will, the server will send a desired state to the device. So it will store that desired state in the device itself, and it applies and maintains that state. So in this method, what exactly we are eliminating? So if you're going for a normal MDM method, right? So it will be sending commands to the push and getting back the result by another command push. So that's what the current scenario is working in MDM. So if you're talking about DDM, so probably you also need to understand something about the desired state, which is not there in the command prompt. So the first thing is desired state is not in command. The server send declaration. So if I'm declaring something, so that declaration describe how the device should be configured or act. And the other and good thing about this one is the device manage itself. So we no need to worry about how we are sending application, software updates, and all these Mac devices, right? So one more thing you have to concentrate, DDM is already available for software update. I think in our last year session, we already talked about how you can manage the software update using DDM. So again, the real-time status back, so you have to concentrate on whenever you set a desired state, it will capable enough to give a real status back status with a status channel. So that's how the declarative device management will work. And in Intune, so hope you see this diagram. So the Intune will send a device declaration to the device, and it check and acknowledge in the first phase. And in the second phase, you might see there is a pull declaration sent from the other context, and it will also pull the update and it will fetch the configuration, right? So it will fetch the configuration, it will store it there itself. And in our today's session, so I'll be more talking about the application deployment or application deployment through DDM. So in this method, what we are doing is we are only concentrating on line of business application. So it installs the line of business application and it will enforce the state and it will self-remediate. So that's how the overall flow will work. And this is one of the other slide that I mentioned about why declarative management matters now. So hope you're aware of in WWDC 2025, Apple already declares the path towards the declarative device management. So now if you are using MDM and probably after months or years, right? So that going to be deprecated and all your workload should be in the DDM platform. And one more thing about the MDM expand in the DDM application. So with respect to the Intune service release, 2603, it is for the March month release onwards, Intune already bought this LOB line of business app as a DDM platform. And again, here you can see the traditional MDM or the DDM differentiation. So I just wanted to highlight few points over here. The server sends a command. I mean, the first will go through the MDM one, and the second, it will for the DDM, the Declarative Device Management. So server sends the commands, status, but in the DDM, server declares the desired status, which is proactive. And the second one, you can see the separate command needed for each application. So if you are pushing 10 or 100 application, you need each command for each application or multiple command for each application. But if you are checking in the DDM space, you can see the DDM stores that compliant state in the device itself, and it will give back to the status to the MDM tool in real time. And I think we can also mention this one, the status arrival delays and offline device drift in case something happened to the device. I'm not talking about a big fleet of device, but maybe you may require some manual intervention as an Intune admin to troubleshoot the devices, right? So that is a headache for MDM. But if you check on the DDM perspective, app install the configuration as like updates. I think software update, I already mentioned how it is working, right? And regarding the network overhead, it will be more because each application will require at least one or two commands, at least two commands I would say, to get the status back from the device. But in the DDM perspective, it is real time, status back in the real time with the communication of the service channel. So that's the normal comparison between the traditional MDM and DDM. Now we'll talk about our main point today, required line of business app delivered over DDM. So if you check this screenshot, but don't worry about the screenshot, I'll already have a video about this. So first thing what you need to keep in mind is the app is a configuration. So we are treating app as a configuration here. It installed the same way as the software update works. And it will also give a the real-time status back to the client. In case, a user uninstall the app also, it is not decided by the admin, right? So it will, again, install back on the device until and unless the admin specify that. So let's move to the another slide. So this is the typical workflow. Again, I already mentioned about the basic one. So comparing to the DDM method on application, so the first one you can declare, Intune send the declaration to the desired state, and it will store locally on the device. So once it is stored, it will apply on, and it will self-maintain. So that is the word I just wanted to use with respect to compliance. You no need to worry about how the user is acting upon it. So it will be self-maintained, and it will report back on real time. And some of the built-in pillars here, the first one is declaration. I think we already mentioned about that. It will declare its own status about software update. The application in this case, again, the application what I meant here is, it is line of business app. Please keep in mind because this is again kind of a preview in, the public preview feature because Microsoft is still investigating a lot of things to move forward for the other application also. And regarding the status channel, the device status change, whenever any changes happen, it will close the gap and it will give the setup, whatever this desired state what we are setting it up. And the extensibility, so this is more important. If you are opting for DDM as a application method, right, application deployment method, it will still coexist with your MDM profiles. So that what you can do is you can have MDM as a primary solution and slowly you can add DDM as another method of deployment. So again, this is again one of the other app delivery flow. So in real time, it is the DDM is in real time and it will have less server load, and at scale, it will the main concentration about this level of DDM approach, right? So we are not talking about one or two applications. So we can think about 1,000 or 2,000, even lakhs of application fleet. So at scale, it is working as soon as possible with respect to the app delivery. And before we begin, right, with respect to the line of business application, before we begin, what and all prerequisite and requirement, what you need to keep in your mind as an admin. So I'm talking about Apple iOS and iPad OS device here. So you should have iOS, iPad OS 18 or later version available. And it should be also configured as an automated enrollment. So the device should be Apple Business Manager Enroll and School Manager Enroll. And you should also have a signed IPA file. So LOB application in iOS and iPad OS will work with .ipa file. So you should have a valid IPA file to do this deployment. And keep in mind in this particular approach, right? So you might see a require assignment and as well as uninstall state for the deployment, because available deployment is not available in this method, right? So the deployment is only meant for the required deployments. And policy manager role or the Intune admin role, what and all roles as an Intune admin you must require. You should sign Intune admin center as an Intune admin, or if you are having global administrator access, it's well and good. At least you should have Intune application manager or configuration manager who also manage the configuration, right? And if you also have a custom airbag role, which also consists of this one also will work. And again, I'm stating the other point, it will still coexist with your MDM app deployment. You can gradually opt the other one, I mean the DDM one. Now let's check how it works on Intune Admin Center. So first of all, what you need to do is you need to log in Intune Admin Center with your login credential, and you have to navigate to apps, iOS, and from there you can click on add, and you can have an option to select the platform, right? So you need to select the platform as iOS, iPad OS, and from there we can have an option to select the method of application deployment. So you have other method of apps deployment. So you need to select line of business app. From there, you should also have an IPA file prior downloaded. So in this today case, I'm just downloaded LinkedIn as an application. But if you have any in-house application or if you already have an IPA with your company, you can use that as well. And this case, I'm just talking about only one application, but it can be many, right? So I also have 100 application case study with me, comparing to how it will work on DDM and MDM. So basically, we need to add the IPA file over there. And the very important thing, you can see this third point, right? Set management type equal to DDM. So when you come to the set management type, you should have two options available, MDM, so the traditional one, and as well as if you can find that drop down, you can also find Declarative Device Management as an option over there. So you need to select that. And regarding the scope, again, it's basic. So with respect to your admin privilege, admin roles, you can set the scope. In this today's example, since it's a test scenario, I'll go with the default one. And assignment, you can only find assignment as required because available deployment is not allowed for this method. And uninstallation also possible, but that also, again, uninstallation is a forced one, right? So that also available. And once you set all this, so what you can do is you can review and create the application. Once it is created, so you can verify the application. Basically, it will take minutes to reflect back. So once it is find the device declared state, so you need to go back to Intune Admin Center, and you can go to the same node and click on that specific application. You can able to find the application status. How about the application deployment status? And with respect to the device, right, if I'm deploying this one in an iOS or my iPhone, so where exactly we need to find this application? So I'm just testing it for my testing purpose. So where exactly I need to test? So for that, what you can do is you can find under this application under configuration. So in your iOS or iPadOS, you need to go to settings. Under settings, you can find general, right? So general, and from there, you can find VPN device management and whatever the management profile your device already applies to. So from there, you can find many options. But the traditional method for the app deployment, you can find under apps. So you can find apps over there. Once you click on apps, you can see whatever the application you have deployed through MDM method. But with respect to DDM, you need to go to the configuration. So don't worry about this screenshot. Even I do have a video already recorded, so I'll show you. So you need to go to configuration, and from there, as I already mentioned, it will work as similar as software update. You can find the application, whatever you deployed till now, to a particular device. Just a testing purpose, I'm saying. And the good thing about this one, the real-time status. And one more important point you have to keep in mind here. So once you set the management type, I create an application here. And once I set the management type as DDM, so I can't change that application to MDM. So we have to be very careful whenever you are deploying that application and setting this configuration up. And this is a comparative study of 100 LOB application. So I'll just cover few important points. I also have another slide which will tell us how much time it consumes as an example study. So this is 100 application, LOB application I am deploying through both MDM and DDM method. So if you compare MDM, the scalability is poor because each app needs its own command line to install. And if you compare with DDM with this, 100 application declare once and enforced locally by the device. So that is the major difference. And I think few points I already mentioned, so I don't want to elaborate that one. So network load is of course heavy because it's having multiple commands for each application. But if you are comparing with network load with respect to DDM, it will be very light. So 100 application, it will configure it as a configuration itself, so it will get the status flow automatically. And the latency and reliability is fragile because the command querying delays and offline devices might miss the commands, maybe admin intervention required. So that is how the MDM will work. But with respect to DDM, the latency and reliability is resilient, so it will evaluate and reinforce the app once it is checked online. So we no need to do anything, it will check automatically. And regarding the compliance visibility, the status of this compliance visibility, it will be delayed based on how often it is manually checked. But if you compare the same context with DDM, it is real-time reporting back to the install updates and uninstallation of the particular application. And again, end of the result, it will be admin overhead is high for MDM and it will be low for DDM. So this is the slide I was talking about. So we took a scenario like 100 LOB application is deploying using MDM and DDM. So what will be the time consumption for that? So if you are deploying through MDM, you may require 8 hours to get that status back to the console or status back to the Intune portal. But the similar way, if I'm using DDM for the same deployment, it will take 1.5 hours to 2 hours. So we can roughly say 5 times faster deployment in DDM comparing to MDM. So that is the real game changer. And again, I already mentioned about this deployment method is only applied to the LOB application, but the other application method also will coming soon. And once you trace any failures, right? So how you will identify the application status? So if you are as Intune admin, so probably you will go with the device managed application. I mean the devices managed app, and from the app status you can find what is the status of the application. And we can also have an option to view the logs in company portal. If I'm taking one device as an example, just to identify one application is failed. So probably you can log in to company portal in your device, and you can have that shake capacity, right? So once you did the shake option, so you can able to view the diagnostic report and lot of the other option based on that. So you need to check the MDM configuration and install state transition for that. And we can also pull the device log with respect to MAIC. So if you connect that particular device to MAIC, and once you open the console, you can able to filter it using what I mentioned over here, right? com.apple.declarative device management, and also apple.installation for the responses. And the good thing about DDM is it can interpret the log status. I think the other side, right, you can able to see it is pending. If it is pending means what will be the reason? It will be configuration not received, or might be it is having some other device will be offline. So that might be the reason. But if it is in install state, so you can see the success and it will be in enforced status. And if it is in failed, then what will be the error surface? I think going back to the other approach, I think I already mentioned about that. And updated. The good thing about this one is you can also find a app require an update, right? So that can also be able to find in the same method. And once it is uninstalled also, the tool or the configuration is capable enough to reinitiate or reinforce or install the same application again, until and unless admin define that application is really required or not. So that's all I have mainly for the LOB application. But regarding the software update management in DDM, so I have few updates for you. So that is again MDM update workload deprecated. So if you are already aware of Apple is already deprecated most of the MDM feature with respect to software update. And DDM path is going forward. So you need to move all your workloads, irrespective of software update or application. If it is supporting for application, try to move all your workloads to DDM perspective. And there is one more thing you have to keep in mind. There is a February cutoff. So MDM update policies are no longer created using Intune, but it can be editable and editable with the existing configuration what we have. And what will be the future path for this? So MDM policy will be deprecating very soon. So coming back to DDM, you can also find an assignment filter now supported for all the software update, right? So it will be always a tedious job when you have 10,000, 20,000 fleet of devices, right? How will apply the assignment filter? So the assignment filter are now supported for Apple DDM policies. And it will also support a new configuration for 26.5. I'm just taking intelligence control manage Apple intelligence and external integration with respect to keyboard and Siri. So these are the configuration what we have. And regarding the AI management is moved to DDM. So with respect to AI management, you can find the existing MDM is already deprecated and it is already moved to DDM platform. So now I'll quickly show you a demo of how you can create LOB application using Intune. So this is my Intune admin center. Sorry. So this is my Intune admin center. So one. Javed. Okay. Okay, no. So you can see I already logged into my Intune Admin Center. I am navigating to applications. One second, let me go back a little bit. Yeah, click on applications and you can find iOS and iPadOS over there. iOS and iPadOS over there. And once you click on iOS, iPadOS, you can able to find which platform it is, and you can select .ipaf file as a line of business application. So I already configured, I already downloaded an LOB application called LinkedIn. So I just added the LOB application over there. And some things are here mandatory. So the publisher is mandatory, and you can also need to put a valid description, and also the management type. This is the one I was talking about. The declarative device management you need to set. And once you set the declarative device management, the minimum operating system. So as I already mentioned, the minimum operating system is 18 and above. So I'll just adding a valid logo. Again, these are not mandatory. Once you added the logo over there, so this is the scope tag option. Since I'm doing it on my test environment, I'll go with default option and click next. Here is the assignment I was talking about. You can only find a required way of deployment or assignment here. So I'm just applying it to iOS devices collection and click on next. Once you click on next, you need to double verify the configuration what you set and click on create. So it will take some time because based on the application size, it may take some time to upload. Once it is uploaded, it will take action based on our deployment. So you can see it is still uploading. And once it is uploaded, you can able to find the device and install status with no time. So this is, and with respect to endpoint device, so I am just taking my iOS device as an example, clicking on VPN device management and management profile. You can see apps over here, right? So this is the basic MDM method of deployment, but I just need to go to configuration. As you can see, I have created multiple applications for that. And even though if I'm uninstalling, it will install it back. So that's how it will work. So this is how you can identify the application deployment in endpoint devices, and as well as I already mentioned about how logs, right? How you can analyze the logs with respect to any failures, right? So that also you can refer. Okay, so the main key takeaway is, again, I already mentioned multiple times. So the device management is towards the DDM way. So you have to move all your workload towards the declarative device management. And with respect to app configuration, you have to keep in mind LOB application. Again, this is iOS and iPadOS, should require 18 version and above. And it will be real time by default. And you can install the status and you can install the status and replace this slow pooling device to reduce the server overhead over here. And the next, what is the next step? So what you can do is you can start at pilot environment and start testing in your LOB application with a line of business method. And once it is success, you can probably go ahead and deploy it in your production. I think that's all I have. Over to you guys if you have any questions or concerns. And I also wanted to give a sincere thanks to all the organizers and sponsors. Without them, this event is not possible. Yeah, thank you so much.